So just taking a moment there, taking in your surroundings. I'm going to shift back. And maybe taking a moment to think about your setup. If you want to change something, perhaps have something more comforting around you, grabbing items, layers, anything of that sort. And we'll just take a moment perhaps to come to grounding first of all. So I'm going to offer maybe finding a comfortable position. You can sit on something that feels welcome here, or you can find a cross-legged position or any other position that feels welcome. And if it feels okay for you, perhaps taking the hands to where your body is. So maybe the right hand to your heart, maybe left hand to your stomach. Knowing you can skip that if it doesn't feel welcome to bring an element of touch this evening. So just lead in your own way into your practice here. You might start to notice the textures underneath the hands, chosen that option. I invite you to perhaps explore closing down the eyes. You can keep them taking in your surroundings if that's more comfortable for you. And perhaps just starting to notice where your body meets the ground underneath you. Just an invitation for your awareness to maybe pick up on the textures underneath. There's firmness from the floor, cushion in there if you're sat on something supportive. And see if you can bring a sense of openness or curiosity for the depth of the contact points. Perhaps even recognizing if you can tune into the gravitational pull. Where perhaps those contact points inform you of the position that you're in. Let's see if that brings perhaps a little bit of softness, even if that's just 2% more than where we began. And knowing that you can stay with the contact points or whatever your awareness feels nice and safe there. It feels welcome to turn towards your breath. And I offer an invitation to perhaps notice where your breath lands in your body. And if you're taking the option of the hands placed on your body, perhaps noticing if you can sense the breath and the movement of your breath through the hands. Perhaps noticing a rhythm or a pace. And perhaps more movement in one hand than in the other. Just bringing in some awareness, however your breath is showing up here this evening. And see if you can remain curious about your breath. If it's helpful, starting to bring a sense of presence here, arriving into your practice, into your body. And if it's helpful, you might even affirm that you're here. This is me. I am here. This is me. Whenever you feel ready to make your way into a position, just to ease out any tension before we get into the longer holds of our Yin practice. I'll offer tonight perhaps a top to toe practice, easing our way down from the head all the way to the feet. So I'd like to offer, first of all, just moving into a position that eases us into the side of the neck. So if that feels welcome for you, I invite you to take the hands together, perhaps interlacing them behind you. If you can find any seat here that feels comfortable, you can sit on a cushion, sit cross-legged. I'm just going to bend into the elbows and take the hands over to the right side of my body. It can come as far around as feels comfortable there. We're focusing on this left shoulder easing down. So however that looks like for you. So it might be an interlace, or you might hold onto the arm or the forearm behind you. Just letting that left shoulder drop. And then I invite you to take the right ear to the right shoulder. So just increasing a little bit of sensation down the left side of your neck. You might notice some tension there, perhaps finding your variation of that little tug there. If it's welcome, you might work with the breath. Maybe the inhale just expands that tug sensation ever so slightly. And maybe that exhale allows a little bit of tension to release, even if that's 2%. You can keep with the eyes open if it feels more welcome for you. Or you can close the eyes down, however that lands. So if this feels particularly welcome, and you want to stay there, you're very welcome to. If you feel like you could take it towards the back of your neck, I'm just going to offer to take the gaze down towards your right shoulder or towards the floor. You might start to notice it shifts all the way towards the back of the neck there. Taking a few more moments here. Knowing that you come out earlier if you need to. Time frames that I offer within this practice, only a suggestion. And when you feel ready to make your way out, Taking it back the way you came, tilting the head back up first and then lifting the head back through center. We'll ease the arms out behind you, soften down, and then we'll take it the opposite way. Or however you chose to come into that next stretch, you can interlace the fingers or hold on to a hand there behind you. Taking it over to the left side and dropping this right shoulder down. And then once you've got that, we can increase that torque by dropping the left shoulder to the left ear, to the left shoulder. And just going in as far as feels welcome for you this evening. And if it's welcome to tune towards your breath, maybe just allowing your natural rhythm to come in there. If your exhale gets a little bit more space, we're coming into our yin postures, finding that gentle tug rather than a deeper stretch. It really helps us to target our connective tissue. We hold a lot of tension. So just like the opposite side, if you feel welcome to stay there, if it feels good, take it towards the back of the neck, then maybe taking the gaze down towards the mat. Knowing that you can come out whenever you need. You can stay a little longer if it's serving. When you do feel ready to move away, just coming out the way you went in, and tilting the head back up, and then lifting through to center. And just releasing the arms, maybe just noticing if there's a difference there in the shoulders. And seeing if you can ease into the softness of the shoulders there. I'd like to offer a little twist here. So take the legs out nice and long in front. And a little helpful trick, if you kind of find it where the spine wants to round a little bit when you're sitting up nice and tall, I like to offer sitting on the very edge of a blanket. So I've got quite a thin one here. And I'm going to sit the sitting bones right on the edge of that. But for me, that feels really comfortable. But if it doesn't feel comfortable for you after you tried that, then you can remove the blanket. It probably means that you don't need it there. So I'm going to take the legs out nice and long, and I'm going to bend into the right knee. So I'm going to come into what we call our half load of the fishes, and then taking the right foot over to the opposite side of the left leg. So you've got this cross. So you can stay there if that feels more comfortable. If you do want to go into a different variation of this, you can bend into the left knee, kind of lift up and settle back down. So it's kind of tucking the heel towards the outer edge of your hip. So two different ways. They both serve the same sort of purpose, but one might feel more comfortable than the other. I'm going to stay in this variation, but you're welcome to take whatever you need. And then I'm going to take the left hand and take it towards your right knee. So you can either have a hand there just to hug it in, or you can go anywhere down the forearm all the way to the elbow, just to find your variation of how much you want to twist in. So wrapping around the knee, find what feels good there. And then the opposite fingertips, I'm going to support a nice tall spine as you twist around to the right. And again, you can have as much or as little of a twist there as you want. Just finding something that feels nice and welcome for you. Eases through the spine, and perhaps even a little tug to the outer edge of the hip. Sometimes it's nice to close down the eyes. It helps us tune in. You know that you can keep with the eyes open. Maybe taking your gaze around the room. Connecting in with what feels comforting. Connecting in with your breath if it's welcome for you. I always like to offer perhaps finding a place or a resource for yourself in your practice. And so a resource really just helps us stay anchored in the present. And so it might be something that you've found in the room that feels comforting and welcome. You keep your gaze taking that object in, the texture, or even a colour. You might connect in with the contact points and ground underneath you, or perhaps even your breath. Just finding what works for you as a resource that helps you anchor yourself. And so we'll take another moment or two here if it's still welcome for you. Remember in that time, just a suggestion. And then we're ready to release from your twist. We'll just make our way back round to centre. I'm going to unravel the legs, maybe just have what we call a little rebound there, just to ease out any areas there. And then I'm going to offer taking that the opposite way. We'll reset, taking the legs out nice and long. We'll bend into the left knee this time. And hopping the foot over to the opposite side. You might stay there. You're welcome to keep the leg out long if that feels more comfortable for you. Or you might bend into the right knee and bring the heel close to the outside edge of your hip. So just finding what feels most comfortable for you in your hips. And then I'm going to take the right arm around the knee. So you're welcome to take a hand or an elbow or a forearm, anywhere that just kind of brings this connection to the knee. And then we'll take the left hand behind you and twisting around to the left as much or as little as you want. Knowing that it doesn't always have to be the deepest of twists. We can change that variant to suit ourselves here. And then I offer an invitation to connect back into your resource if you've found one. Perhaps even staying curious for any new textures or new contact points as we change our postures. And perhaps taking a few more moments in that position if it's still welcome for you. If it's very welcome this evening in your body, you can stay for longer. You can release whenever you feel the need to. And whenever you are ready to release, just inviting yourself back round to the front. You can release the legs however they want to be unraveled there, and maybe just leaning back into the hands just to release that out. You can shake the feet if that feels good. I'm going to offer a little heart opener. So this involves lying down on our back, but I'm going to offer coming into a position with a blanket. I mentioned we had a blanket for comfort and also one to use as a prop, and I really love using the blanket as a prop. It can offer some firmness as well as some softness to our practice. So I'm going to take my blanket and fold it into a rectangle shape similar to this size. And then I'm going to find the long edge where the fold is and just start to roll that up. And so this is going to come down the spine. I'm going to lie down on top of that if it's welcome for you. And you can roll the blanket up about halfway, or you can roll it all the way up. So that largely just depends on how thick your material is. Mine's quite thin, so I'm going to go all the way up for this one. But if you wanted less sensation with this, you can roll the blanket back down a little. If you wanted more, you can roll it all the way up a little bit more. I'm going to take that down, lengthways down my mat at the head end. So wherever I'm going to lie down and place my head. I'm just going to move these out of the way. And then once you've set that up, I'm going to bring the hips. So there's a little gap between the base of the blanket. I want to make sure that the base of the hips are on the floor or on your mat or your towel, whatever you're using. And I'm going to lie down on the blanket roll, tracking the spine. So we're mainly looking for the upper spine, so behind the heart. And as you come down, just making sure that the head has that same support. So we're still resting the head in line with the upper spine there. If it's dropping off the top of your blanket, then just shimmying down to make sure the head's got some support. And I'm going to offer any position with the legs, whatever feels comfortable for you. So one option might be taking the feet out wide and dropping the knees to the midline. It's really nice for the lower back. You might take the legs out nice and long. Or you might take what we call a diamond shape or butterfly shape in yoga. So bringing the feet together and dropping the knees out to the side and allowing the soles of the feet to come together. If this feels like it might be a welcome position, but you want to add some comfort, is where that extra blanket for comfort comes in. And you can take that same position and take a blanket over you so that it just offers a little bit of security there. So opting for anything that feels welcome there. And once you make your way down, just offering a little gentle lift to the heart. You might find a little tug there into the collarbone area. If it feels too much, you can decrease the roll of your blanket. You might even prefer to remove the blanket roll altogether and perhaps going into this constructive rest position. So perhaps tuning into the contact points with your breath. Perhaps even the contact points where your spine meets the blanket roll. So we'll stay here for a minute or so. What's the suggested time frame? One that you can come out of if you need to, or stay longer if it's welcome. Seeing if shoulder blades start to ease around the blanket roll there. Maybe connecting into a sense of support from the blanket. Sense of support from the floor underneath you. As we settle a little further into our practice, you might start to notice that we go a little quieter, or there's pockets of silence. And just to acknowledge that silence is offering you some space. I'm still right here. So as we make our way towards that suggested time frame, you're welcome to stay a little longer if it's a particularly nice position for you here. When you do feel ready to move away, I'm just going to offer perhaps coming out by rolling onto one side of your body, whichever way comes natural there. Maybe just creating a little pillow with your arm or your hand. And just allowing your spine to neutralize for a moment. Always nice to offer a moment for our fascia to just resettle. And then when you're ready to find a different position, I'm going to offer a little supine twist. So we're going to come and stay on the ground here. I'm moving the blanket out of the way. So I'm coming down onto a flat surface. I'm going to bend into the knees for this one, and then just tuck the knees towards you. And so depending on the room that you've got there, you might take the arms out into what we call a cactus shape, or you might take it into a T shape. Just finding somewhere that feels comfortable for the shoulders. We're going to twist, find a twist through the spine here. And so from there, I'm going to drop the knees over to the left and just see if I can prioritize the knees coming down towards the floor. So a couple of things might happen just to allow the legs to come down. So first of all, that right shoulder might want to peel away from the mat. Maybe allow that to happen. And if the arm starts to suspend in space and it doesn't feel so comfortable, you can maybe take it down alongside the body to where it does feel comfortable. So just giving it some support there. And then if it feels like the the right leg is kind of suspended in space there as well, and just offering it some support, maybe with a pillow in between there, just so that you can kind of fill space. looking for yin-like posture. We want to really support our body. Slide in. Our bodies find these natural positions where we can target fascia, but without having to strain other areas. I want it to feel like a gentle tug rather than the deeper stretch. It just allows us to ease out any tension. You might start to notice a tug coming into the lower back or up the spine. You might notice areas in the shoulder there on the right side. If you find yourself needing something to anchor your awareness on, perhaps coming back to where it feels nice and comfortable, whether it's the contact points or the room. Or your breath. All of those are really wonderful options. So we've got another few moments here in suggested time frame. Tuning into when you feel ready to take this to the opposite side. When you do feel ready, I invite you to bring the legs back through center. You can bring that cushion with you if you've used one. And just taking the knees over to the opposite way. So perhaps supporting or stacking cushions there until you feel like the legs can really settle into some support. And then that left arm can either go out into a cactus shape, or if it feels like it's lifted in space there, you can kind of draw it down the side of your body. So we've got about another minute in this position. That's the suggested time frame. Whenever you feel ready to move away from that position, just gently bringing yourself back through in a way that feels right there. And you might take a little movement if it feels like you want some movement. Maybe swaying the knees from side to side. It's always a nice one. You can take anything else that anybody wants to do. From here, I'm going to offer making your way into a seat. Or maybe just rolling onto one side and lifting yourself up nice and gently there. Not in any rush to get anywhere. And I'm going to offer a butterfly position. So I'm going to take a bend in the knees. I'm going to drop the knees out to the side if that feels nice and welcome. Once you've got to that position, maybe just checking in to see how that feels. You might take the feet further away from you, or you might bring them a little closer in. Just noticing how it lands. And if it feels like you want some support here, you can have some cushions underneath the outside of the leg there, and you can have another one at the opposite side as well. And I'm going to offer coming into a bit of a forward fold with this. Before coming to the forward fold, I'd like to offer a bit of acupressure point just in case it's something you want to enhance your practice with today. And so that's our kidney 1 acupressure point. It's a really nice one that just sends chi or energy. There's quite a lot going on in the mind, or it's quite fast paced, and this one's a really nice one for it. So if you kind of locate the ball of your big toe and find the very bottom of the ball joint there, once you've got that, start to walk your finger or thumb right into the center of your foot. And so I'm going to take my hand and wrap around the top there and bring the thumb to that point. So that's the bottom of the ball joint, and then bringing it into the center. And you can take that on both sides. And so you can kind of press the thumbs into that space, or you can give a little bit of a massage, a little circular motion if that's welcome. Just an optional there. It's always a nice one to add in for this position. If it doesn't feel welcome, you're welcome to leave it. So if it feels welcome, and you notice perhaps a little bit of tenderness, or sometimes it can feel a little gritty, sometimes that's an indication that it's just wanting a little bit of TLC, a little bit of massage in there. Maybe just taking a little self-massage in that area for a moment or two. And that kidney 1 acupressure point is really part of our water meridian, our water element. That element nourishes all other elements, especially one that's signifies winter. So we're just coming out of winter there, so it's always nice to nourish that. And then you can let that go whenever you feel ready to. I'm going to offer coming into a forward fold of your choosing, so you can support yourself here. If you do have a bolster available, just offer that option. You can hug around the bolster and lean forward, or you can walk the bolster out in front into a gradient, then to the side so you can see, and lean in the forehead into the bolster and rest in the hands. The forward fold doesn't always mean coming down to the floor. If there is support there, you can always bring cushions in underneath. Maybe even folding over the front, or even resting the head in the hands there. So just finding some support for the head, however that comes through. You can always take a blanket over the top to give yourself a little bit of comfort around the back as well. Lots of ways that we can bring that comfort in with a blanket. So if your variation looks different to mine, that's okay. Looking for our own way, own individuality in our practice. Letting our practice serve where we are. Perhaps offering an invitation for the eyes to close down if it's welcome. You can keep them in the room, connecting into your resources, anything that feels welcome to the eye there. Or even reconnecting in with some different contact points. So perhaps taking another few moments in that position if it's welcome. And whenever you feel ready to leave from that position, I'm just going to use the hands to support the upper body as you up. Maybe bringing the knees back into frontal line. Just give a little rebound there, maybe a little shake out with the feet. I'm going to offer coming into what we call a revolved Janu Sirsasana, but a forward fold variation of it. So I'm going to take the legs out as wide as feels comfortable, but bring the right foot close to you. We're going to bend in the right knee, and that left leg can go as far out as feels welcome. We're kind of focusing on this inside seam of the leg. We're just taking that as far out as is welcome. And then if your knee wants a little support, you can take a pillow there or a folded blanket, just something to kind of fill space so that the hip can relax down. And then if you want some support in front of you, I'm going to fold forward just until I find a little tug down the inside seam. Again, just as much or as little as you want there. You could even fold pillows all the way up so that it's kind of supporting your body, maybe coming onto the forearms. You could even rest your head in your hands, maybe onto the cheeks or the forehead so that we've got this nod of introspection there. And once you've found somewhere that feels welcome, seeing if you can up and down through the feet. You might notice as you soften the soles of the feet, left leg might turn inwards or outwards slightly into that natural position of where your hip is. And seeing if you can soften down through the right hip, letting it fully relax. And all of the support that your right knee might need in order to do that. Perhaps taking a few more moments there. When you do feel ready to move away, perhaps supporting the body as you come back up. And then lifting the right knee, maybe just taking it out as wide as feels comfortable to this side. It might feel different compared to the opposite side, so just tuning in if that's the case. And then taking the opposite heel in towards you. So that left heel coming in, supporting that left knee with any cushions or blankets. And then I'm going to take something in front. I'm going to fold that pillow all the way up so I've got a little bit more height there. And just folding back in for the opposite side. So just focusing on that inside seam of the opposite leg. You can go as much or as little as you need there. So that sensation might be more welcome to be a softer tug today. It might be welcome to increase that sensation, finding the right amount for yourself there. Taking time to settle in the way that feels right for you. And once again, I offer that invitation to perhaps think about softening down through the soles of the feet. Maybe seeing what relaxes down along the way. Maybe seeing if that left hip can let go of the left leg, let it soften into whatever support you've chosen for it there. Still here, and even in between these pockets of silence. Hold in the space. In a few more moments there. As always, coming out if you're ready. Staying that a little bit longer if it's serving you. And when you do feel ready to move away, and perhaps using the hands just to support you as you come up. You can move any props or support out of the way. Maybe just finding something that feels like a rebound, so just easing back in. It might be a little shake of the feet again. You might lean into the hands and maybe bend the knees, give a little windscreen wiper there. And then from here, I'm going to offer a child's position. So we're going to edge, well, the offerings are going to edge towards more restorative practices. We might stay there a little longer, but know that those timeframes, just as we have been doing, are always a suggestion. So if it's uncomfortable, you want to find something more comfortable than what I'm offering, you're very welcome to switch your practice up. It's all about you finding rest for yourself, and that can be very different for everybody. Deeply personal practice. So I mentioned about having a blanket for comfort and a blanket for props, so we can start to mix things up a little bit and have loads more for comfort now. So I'm going to take a blanket underneath me. I think it's really nice to have that extra cushiony, especially if you're on a harder surface. If you're on carpet, it might already be nice and cushiony. And then I'm going to take the other blanket and use that as a little bit of extra comfort. I'm just going to unravel that and have that to one side. And then I'm going to take my couple of pillows and take them in front. So I'm going to offer child's position what we call a child's position on a bolster. So if you do have a bolster, you're very welcome to use that instead. I'm going to use pillows just so you can see how that looks if you were using household items. I'm going to take the cushions, and you can keep stacking these up with as many things as you want for it to meet the body. And we're looking for restorative practices. We're really wanting to kind of fill space so the body can feel supported where it's at. Maybe just allowing it to meet where you are today. I'm going to come down onto my belly, onto the cushions here, but I'm also going to offer, if it feels nicer, to have the option of a blanket all the way around you. I'll show you what it looks like, then remove it so that you can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to take that blanket all the way around the back, just a really nice way of bringing some comfort. You can take it all the way up and over, a little bit covering there as well. Take it halfway so that you can see what I'm doing. And then coming down and just letting the pillows or the bolster really meet you there. And then you can take the head down. I'm just going to take my mic off so that I don't lose you. And then just taking the head down, maybe the arms come underneath and kind of hug around the bolster or the cushions there. And just seeing where that support lands for you. Do you need any more support, more cushions? Does it feel comfortable in the hips? Maybe the knees want to go out a little wider or maybe closer in. And if you are in a position where the knees are closer together, that might just mean that the pillow's further out. We're kind of coming down, knees supporting the upper body, but the pillows are supporting the heart and the head. So just a different option there. Finding your way into something that's welcome. What is the time frame here? We can just stay in these positions a little longer, as I said. Once we get halfway through, I'll offer a suggestion to turn the head the opposite way if you've taken it to the side, so you can feel a little bit more balanced in that. But know that if you feel comfortable with it one way and you want to stay and just lean into the support, you're welcome to ignore that suggestion and offering. And as you settle, just noticing contact points on the ground underneath you. Seeing what feedback comes through in terms of texture. Or even tuning into the gravitational pull. Just remembering I'm always here, even in the pockets of silence. Holding this space as you settle into rest. If you've taken the head onto a particular side, perhaps turning it to the opposite side if it feels like something you want to offer yourself here. And always bring your awareness back to contact points or your breath. Connecting back in with the room, space around you if you need it. And if the rest is particularly welcome this evening, just letting yourself lean into that. So knowing that you can stay here for as long as you can, simply let my voice settle into the background. And let it be a reminder that I'm still here holding space for you. If you want to explore different position, taking the legs up the wall or onto a chair or sofa. Whenever you feel ready to come out, lift yourself gently out of that position. And I'm just going to move the pillows out of the way and come towards the wall. So the same way that we get into this position is the same way you would get into a position on a sofa. The only difference here that the lower legs will be on the chair seat of the sofa and the knees will be bent. I'm going to come up to the wall, whichever side feels right for you, hugging the wall or the bottom of the sofa, And then I'm going to come down onto a forearm and start to lean down so that I can swing my legs up the wall. So this is what the position would look like if you were using the wall here. If you're using a chair, I'll show you how to get into that as well. A little chair that I can demonstrate, same with sofa. So find my chair and sit beside it, side of whichever side of your body feels right. At the bottom of the chair, come down onto your forearm and swing the legs up onto the chair there. So you can have anything over the top of you can take your blanket over you, you can have some cushioning if you're using a chair like mine. Might have a cushion underneath that just for comfort. Might even take the feet to the edge there just so it's a bit more of an incline. Just making it nice and comfortable, especially underneath the hips. So adding any folded blankets, even just a little bit of a fold there, offers a bit more comfort. Tucking yourself in with a blanket over the top to keep nice and cozy. Wherever you've landed, just seeing if you can let the legs really lean into the support of the wall or your chair. As well, kind of you might tune into your breath and maybe notice if there's a different rhythm or pace. And just allow those pockets of silence to perhaps come through. No, I'm still right here with you. And so knowing that we've got a couple more minutes of suggested time frame here. If your legs are extended up the wall, and it feels like you want a little bit of relief, or just to find a bit of change, you can bend into the knees, let the feet come down the wall a little bit. Just knowing that that offers there if you need it. And you're welcome to come out if it's no longer feeling very welcome, or perhaps there's too much pressure coming to the head. Bring the legs back down into a more neutral position. And so when you do feel ready to move away, if you haven't already, I'm just going to start to bend further into the knees. You might start to tuck them right in towards you. The same way to come out of either of those options, and then just rolling onto one side of your body, maybe creating a little pillow there with your hand. Just taking some time before you press yourself back up, giving your body that moment to readjust, and our pressure system just resettle. Taking all the time that you need. When you do feel ready to slowly come on up, and supporting yourself with a hand, lifting through nice and gently. So we've got one final position here that, if you're not familiar with, is going to be our relaxation position, or what we call Shavasana. So I'm going to offer taking a little stack of pillows to wherever you want your head to land, and you can keep stacking until you've got enough of a gradient here. So it might be that you have a smaller pillow at the top for your head, and the same amount of height for the rest of the body here. I'm going to offer coming down into a reclined position over the pillows. So if you want more support lifting up, you can stack all the way up until you've got all of that support there, or you can take some away and come down further towards the floor. I'll show you how I might set that up, and kind of set yourself up however feels. So I'm going to take, again, blanket underneath for comfort, and then a blanket over for extra comfort and tucking in. So I'm going to offer lots of different options with the legs. Know that you can place a blanket over the top of you once you've found your position. But again, I'm going to keep a little gap here from whatever cushions I'm using, so that the hips can ground onto the floor, and then just laying over either the cushions into a little incline there. And it's quite nice using pillows because they create this little incline naturally to the body. And so you might stay with the knees bent there. You can walk the feet out wide and drop the knees in. You can have the legs out nice and long, maybe the arms out to the side. Or you can find that diamond shape again if it felt welcome. Feet coming together, dropping the knees out to the side. And if that does feel comfortable, but you want a little bit of sense of security there, you can have a blanket over the top. You can tuck yourself all the way in, maybe tucking the feet in, having a blanket all the way over you. Letting it be restful. I'm going to guide you into your Shavasana here. I'm just taking a moment to check in if the chosen position is welcome. And then I offer an invitation to perhaps tune into the eyelids. And just noticing if there's an impulse that the eyelids want to make here. They might already be closing down on their way to rest. And if they still want to take in your surroundings and you're not quite there with rest, you're welcome to stay with connecting with your space, your external environment. And maybe just following the impulse of the eyes. Perhaps starting to notice the level of support underneath your body. And perhaps a sense of comfort of the textures. And perhaps even allowing your felt sense to pick up on a comforting space you've created for yourself here. If it feels welcome, just letting your body and your system soak in, answering a need for rest and nourishment. Perhaps even honoring and acknowledging the care you've taken. So gently, your awareness, notice the space around you, felt sense, or the sense that's more available to you. Perhaps bringing movement back to fingers and toes. Any other area of your body that wants a gentle awakening there, just enough. Feel ready to lift away, and rolling onto the side. Letting yourself into a position to come back. And perhaps close your practice here. You feel ready for an invitation to feel that you want to connect as we close here. Turn your camera on if you want to. If you wanted to reconnect in that way. For a moment, perhaps just bring a moment of gratitude. You can do that in a way that feels right for you, maybe hand on heart center. Bring forward something that you're grateful for. I'd like to offer my own gratitude for joining in for a worthy cause this evening. Hope you have a restful evening following this class. So if you do want to kind of just acknowledge that you're all okay, maybe hand raise or say bye in chat if you want to. Thank you so much for joining. If you're still settling into rest, you're welcome to stay. Thank you, Martin. Thank you, Megan. Put the recording here.